Hello, everyone. Welcome to Concordia University's Force Space. Thanks for joining us. This is day two, but we're going to call it Symbiotic Futures. Now, this is both a pop-up expo and a series of roundtables, part of the Critical Materiality Mediation series. We have kind of a three-part day here. We have first a tour of the space and the installations that are here, the pop-up expo, and then followed by two panels. But we would like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And we respect the continued connections with the past, the present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. Here at Force Space, we work with our university community to help mobilize knowledge, co-creating daily activities, examining research questions and projects, things happening across the university. We're running today's event as a live stream, both to YouTube and Zoom, so any comments or questions? A little bit later on, maybe more for the panels, but comments are always welcome, so pop those into the chat. We'll do our best to read those out. Those of you here in the space, you probably know, we'll pass microphones around so that everyone can hear. Okay, with that, it's much my pleasure to hand things over to the Associate Professor, Design and Computation Arts, as well as our Concordia University Research Chair in Critical Practices in Materials and Materiality, Dr. Alice Shari. Over to you.
Thanks, Doug, for the intro, and hi, everyone. Welcome to Fort Space. Thanks for your presence this afternoon. And thanks to everyone at Fort Space for the generous support, the organization, the logistics support, and it's always a pleasure and a privilege to be hosted here for this class, Critical Materiality. So welcome to Critical Materiality, Critical Mediation Series 2025. It involves a pop-up expo and a series of roundtable. So what is critical materiality? It's an advanced special topic research studio course. The goal is to open up new perspective and joint methodologies between design discipline and computation arts discipline, both graduate and undergraduate. And the emphasis of this class is on material engagement, making, process, and students develop objects, interventions, narrative, visuals, and environments, as well as artistic and public responses to social environmental topics. Why a critical mediation series? Because a large part of practice-based research transpires in form and sensory perception. So the goal here is to explore what happens when the studio and our material practices move to the public space here at Fort Space today, and how can design and computation art practices be communicated and experienced by publics. Another goal is to foster discussion in public setting and question practice in relation to matter, materials, materiality, technology, objects, media, and techniques. Today, students develop feedback loops between material experimentation, practical experiments, and also theoretical ideas that were explored in class during the semester. So the core approach of this series is cooperation. It's about experimentation. It's about sharing. It's about discussion. It involves also rethinking the relationships between materiality, technology, making, and communication. So today we have Nicole Covaliu, Ellie Desjardins, Alexandria Eaton, Rome Fraser, Matthew Alpeny, Milady Hartman, Sacha Lapointe-Lawless, Francis Ouellet, Oliver Sutherland, Elena Thomas, Haley Wyatt, who will present Symbiotic Future. So I will pass the mic to Milady Hartman, who will contextualize the event and this afternoon activities.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So Symbiotic Futures involves the research of artists, designers looking at the materials that shape our environments. The event and pop-up exhibition questions how to shift perceptions around what materials hold value in order to create new imaginaries of care and sustainability that subvert and critique consumerism and capitalist agendas. Paying close attention to our natural environment, these investigations incorporate natural materials which include soil, wood, plants, water, light, wind, and sound, and reimagine these elements as materials for art and design. These research projects question ideas of scale, post-consumer, waste, sound pollution, decay, memory, soil compositions, pigments, dyes, and biomaterial. The result is a circular, multisensory, and ethically grounded design practice that treats making as ongoing exchange between humans, living systems, and environments they share. As artists, we, considering critical materiality, we prioritize our human responsibility to our natural environment as guiding research principle. And I turn over the mic to Professor Ellis.
I think I have my own mic.
Oh, yes.
That's okay. So we will invite everyone to tour the exhibition. Everyone will do a short intro and contextualize their project. And after that, there will be a little bit of free time to wander around, discuss with the artist and designer before we move on to the round table. So let's go.
Hi, I'm Haley. This is my lamp. It's called Unwoven. It's made from textile waste and bioplastic. So it's kind of inspired by the imagery of cells under a light microscope and trying to communicate this idea that not only does waste have a huge impact on the living, it also kind of has a life of its own in the way that it grows and transforms. And this is also my way of trying to restore care to this material, textile waste that is kind of seen as low value or unloved through transforming it into something new.
Yes, it's great. We can move on to Ellie's project.
So my project is called Stigma Disposal. So there's two parts to it. The first one was to make those containers in which we discard and dispose of sharps, needles, and those material that we associate with drug use and harm reduction. The idea was to make those containers more welcome into the domestic realm. So by making sleeve out of felt, making a contrast between the yellow biohazard plastic and something soft and more welcome into the home. The other part was to explore the idea of making those kind of container out of recycled material. So which is why I made a few example of box made out of packaging for needles and other material used in harm reduction and drug use. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm a lady. Okay, so we'll move on and we'll look at Sacha Lapointe-Lawless' project.
Yeah, so my project is untitled. It's essentially an instrument that I created from garbage. It focuses on the idea of having a critical, real kind of solution to the waste problem that our planet is facing. So I've been in touch with some local companies and sourced waste material to create this instrument, which hopefully tackles the problem of kind of circular production, as well as making music more affordable, as instruments are usually extremely expensive. And this one is free. So yeah, hopefully giving the chance to children.
Can you play it?
Unfortunately, not this one. It's not tuned. I can probably do a little sound demo just as the acoustics, but I can't actually play this because unfortunately the ukulele or this is the only instrument.
Maybe activate the strings.
Yeah, so it does work, and I have some material explorations. It leaves some blocks like this, and with a lot of shaping, it ends up like that. So yeah.
Excellent, thank you. We'll look at Oliver Sutherland's project.
Hi, everybody. This project is titled Firewood. It came about from my thinking about our relationship with wood and fire and burning practices and the significance we put on some rituals that we have where we burn things. So I've made an object out of a log that I found, and I've treated it with a torch, both for how it looks and for sort of a weatherproofing finish. And then over here I have what is an incense stand, and it's meant to represent a piece of land, and you arrange plants from a specific place and burn incense as sort of a meditation on your relationship with that place.
Thank you, Oliver. We'll look at Frank Willett's project.
Hi, so my project is called Residual Matter. I ended up using biomaterials and natural inks derived from sumac, from Champ des Possibles, and from the Myland. And so I explored this over the course of the semester. So this first piece here, I ended up incorporating milkweed into the biomaterial, and the yellowish ink is from the sumac plant from Champ des Possibles. And the second one here is some leaves and trash that I found at Champ des Possibles, but the reddish ink is actually from a different spot in Myland. So I was doing sort of a comparison of the same plant, but trying to see what characteristics would come out of that. And then through the process, I did a lot of microscopy. So these are some tests that I did, and yeah, just some of the sumac flowers. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Nicole Covaliu.
Hi, so my project involved making inks out of materials that I found in my own home. Now the thing is that throughout the years, I've accumulated a lot of material, arts and crafts supplies that oftentimes just ends up collecting dust. So I thought to myself, maybe there's a way for me to like take stuff that I'm not using and turn it into something a little creative. It was a long process, especially having to filter the colors so they can get an inky substance. I used Jason Logan's book Make Ink as reference. And I would invite anyone to please test out the inks for yourself. I have them all laid out over here. Just squeeze the pen lightly and brush away. I do ask that you please be mindful and careful about spilling, and I'd rather avoid messes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Milady Hartman.
Yes.
There's just a few words, yeah.
Okay, so welcome. So my name is Milady Hartman, and what you're actually seeing here is an anthropomorphic sculpture that's made out of paper, fibers. This is gelatin base, and the idea here was really to create a Canadian landscape. So oftentimes visitors who come to Canada are always fascinated by the Canadian sky, and so I wanted to be able to try and capture that throughout this vase. And also, it's dual function. It's a vase as well as a light source. So within this experiment, we can actually, I experimented with biomaterials. So for example, if you look here, this is a gelatin base with fiber, similar to the fibers that you see here in the sculpture. And so the experiment was to actually see how pliable gelatins can be compared to, so this is a pliable one here, and it comes back, it takes its shape. We also have other pieces here which are a lot more rigid with lavender seeds into it, and also samples of the biomaterial that I actually made the vase with. So if you hold it up to the light, you're able to see a bit of transparency, and inside the vase there's also a light so that you can see the translucence, throughout the piece. And then here on the board, what you're looking at are different treatments of biomaterial, bioplastics on various types of paper, toile de jouy, also bioplastics made with rice fiber and so forth. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Milady. So we'll move on and we'll look at Elena Thomas.
Hi. Okay, so this is called submerged sightlines. It's essentially an underwater periscope. So it's kind of creating a threshold interface between human and more than human aquatic worlds. I find them so fascinating because they're often typically very visually obscured as from the human perspective. So it's quite literally using refraction through a series of mirrors in the tube itself. I can demonstrate it when I'm not holding the microphone. To sort of bring a different visual perspective to the sort of materiality that is the non-human aquatic world. Yeah, and then I made this extra little component, which is sort of adding this like citizen science element to it, which lists a bunch of the non-human, more than human entities that would exist in the saltwater portion of the St. Lawrence River. So it like spins around. So the intention is that, thank you, if this were to be featured next to a saltwater environment, someone could use the periscope and then investigate what they might be seeing in their underwater explorations to kind of encourage learning of these more than human living entities in these contexts that are sort of foreign to us. And the intention behind all of this is to basically create more empathy for these living things that we often don't see. So, thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Rome.
Hi, my name is Rome, and my project is called Bodies of Salt. It's inspired by how we have access to about 1% of fresh water, and how there's a lot of sea salt around us, and how we can transform the sea salt into design solutions and methods. I researched into salt tiles, salt bioplastics, which to my knowledge have never been done before, and salt bricks as well. And it's inspired by desalinization and what we can do with the leftover excess sea salt to add it to building construction methods and also design aesthetics.
Thank you, Rome. Alexandria Eaton.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexandria. This is my project called Materiality of Care. It's a cloak made of naturally dyed fabric, organic cotton, and canvas. And I was able to use this semester and the freedom that Alice allowed us in this course to examine my own visual art practice and the materials that I was using and how I might improve on that. So I started with the idea of natural dyeing rather than using paint. And I have actually been amazed at the variety and brightness of color that I've been able to achieve with this process. The cloak is part of a larger research project involving grief and how we can make grief visible. So I will be wearing this in a performance. I will likely keep expanding it and make it heavier and wider. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. So those projects are absolutely stunning and wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So I think that for the next 15 minutes until 2 p.m., we will have the liberty to explore the exhibition and ask questions to the artists and designers who are presenting. And we'll regroup at 2 p.m. for the first roundtable. So that's it.
Thank you, everyone. So for those of you online, we're just going to be taking a quick 20-minute break, and we will be back for the first of two panels at 2.